to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
When people ask me what kind of person I was like when I was a child, what kind of child was I like, what kind of teenager was I like, I would say I was a shy, introverted, nervous child. And I don't really consider myself shy or nervous these days, but I do still consider myself introverted. Introversion, I think, is a personality trait, whereas nervousness is linked to anxiety, and shyness quite often is a lack of confidence. This hypnosis session is all about reducing nervousness and reducing anxiety and helping people feel more calm. And that's because I was working with a client that was very, very hypervigilant. They were on edge. I could tell from their mannerisms, their breathing rate, they were in a state of high alert. And that's useful in certain contexts, but it's not useful all the time. It's exhausting, and it's very difficult to relax and sleep if you're in this high alert state. So this is a hypnosis session to reduce nervousness, to reduce anxiety, and to feel more confident and to feel more calm. You will get more value out of this if you can think of the kind of environments that it would be helpful for you to be more calm. I want you to think of maybe just one or two consistent triggers for nervousness. Now, for some people, that might be a job interview or a first date, or it might be an appraisal at work, or it might be speaking in public. Think of something where you get nervous, and then by just thinking about that, we're activating that neural pathway. So then when you listen to the session, you're going to get much more value from the suggestions and the neuroplasticity. If you do want a customized session, because this was calibrated to the client that I was working with, there will be a link in the description where you can schedule a completely free consultation call. We'll have a chat and maybe we end up working together. For now, though, you might get some value from this one. So find a quiet, comfortable place, ideally in the kind of environment where you're not going to be distracted or disturbed. Relax and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe in that feeling of calm, relaxation, and as you exhale, feel that wonderful feeling of release, as if any tension, stress and worries are starting to leave your body in your outward breath. Breathing in relaxation and exhaling tension. Each breath takes you deeper and deeper relaxed. In fact, the deeper you breathe, the more relaxed you feel. And the more relaxed you feel, the deeper you breathe. And as you exhale, just elongate the outward breath. So your outward breath lasts longer than your inward breath. Almost like you're sending a message there directly to your brain and your body that it is safe to calm down and recalibrate. As your body relaxes, your imagination awakens. And I want you to imagine being on a quiet, private, peaceful shore of Lake Michigan. And I want you to imagine there's been recent storms and high winds. And I want you to see choppy waves and grey skies, noisy waves crashing. And I want you to allow the volatility, the busyness of the waves to represent those times where you felt your brain was overthinking, hypervigilant, doing too much. But as you breathe in that feeling of relaxation and exhale that tension, your breathing slows down and the waves start to calm. And as they calm, you feel more and more relaxed until, after just a few breaths, the grey skies are now blue skies and the choppy waves are now calm waters on the lake. And I wonder if you could imagine that you're wearing whatever clothing is appropriate to enjoy the water. And just imagine a large, stable, inflatable. And I want you to imagine climbing on top of that inflatable and paddling out there in the lake. And maybe you could imagine feeling the warmth of the sun on your back, that subtle rise and fall of the inflatable beneath you. Imagine lying on your front watching the water, clear, blue, shimmering with light. And maybe you can notice how the ripples move, how the reflections dance and shift, and how your breathing naturally synchronizes with the rhythm of the lake. And notice how it takes no effort at all, because your body knows how to relax here. Your nervous system recognizes this place as calm, safe, and peaceful. And as you float, your muscles relax, your mind slows, and your whole system drifts into a deeper state of quiet inner awareness. Each ripple, each ray of light takes you further into ease. And the calmer you feel, the more your unconscious mind becomes open and responsive, ready to access exactly the resources you need. And I wonder if you could imagine the gentle warmth of the sun soothing the muscles of your back, melting down through the shoulders, all the way into your chest and down your legs. And every wave of warmth tells your nervous system you are safe, you can soften, you can let go. And as the body relaxes, the mind becomes clearer, quieter, and even more capable. And sometimes you can drift off into a dreamlike sleep. So in this calm state, your unconscious can bring to mind a moment in your life when you faced a real challenge. Not a small inconvenience, but something meaningful. Something that demanded courage, action, resourcefulness. And allow that memory, that moment to surface now. And imagine you can see where you were, hear what was around you, and notice the version of you that showed up. Perhaps you didn't feel ready, and perhaps you were nervous then as well. But you acted. You moved. You decided and you made progress. And because you did, the situation changed. And because you acted, your world expanded. And because you took responsibility, you overcame the challenge. And just let that memory replay, not as a distant event, but as evidence that you are capable of meeting challenges. You have already done difficult things. You already know how to do this. Step into that version of you, resourceful in that memory, and feel that resourcefulness come back online now. The strength, the clarity, the capability, and now, as you float on the water, you can begin to give nervousness a new meaning. What if nervousness is not a warning of danger? It's either a false signal or it's a signal of growth, a sign that you are at the edge of your comfort zone, the very place where expansion happens. Nervousness in your system is switching off. Resourcefulness is switching on, preparing you, activating you, sharpening your senses for something important. What if nervousness is just the body saying, you're stepping into something meaningful. You're about to learn, grow, and become more. What if it's not a barrier, but a threshold? And every time you do something that makes you nervous, you are stretching the boundaries of what your brain thinks you can handle. Your comfort zone expands and your confidence grows. In this meaning, nervousness becomes a compass, pointing you towards the next version of yourself. And the more you understand this, the calmer you become. Your nervous system stops reacting as if something is wrong and starts responding as if something important is unfolding. Feel calmness spreading through you now steady, grounded, centered. Calmness in your breath, calmness in your thoughts, and even calmness in your body. And beneath that calmness, a deeper truth. You can handle this. You've handled things before, and you will handle things again. And now let's move to the future. I wonder if you could imagine yourself in the near future in a situation that once made you nervous. But I wonder if you could imagine yourself standing or sitting there, breathing steadily, grounded, clear, capable. Watch yourself respond differently. More calm, more confident, more resourceful, more in control. And notice how your nervous system stays balanced, how the thoughts stay organized, and how your actions flow naturally. Imagine yourself moving through that moment with poise, and afterwards feel the pride, the satisfaction, and the evidence that every time you lean into nervousness, you are disproving false evaluations, and you are expanding who you are. And you're becoming someone stronger, calmer, and more capable every time that you do. And step into that future version of you, merge with yourself, becoming the new baseline, the new normal, the new identity. And then imagine floating back from the lake on that inflatable, back to the shore. But feel calmer, recalibrated, more resourceful. Questioning whether things that make you nervous are even real evaluations or just false assumptions, false evidence that appears real. Isn't it time to call the bluff on all of these things that you thought were true, but perhaps weren't? Imagine floating back from the shore, all the way back to the present as you take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Just wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, connect and calibrate into the here and the now. As I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3. Starting to wake. 4, 5, 6. More alert. 7, 8. Open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10. Wide awake. Wide awake. Wide awake. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of The Hypnotist. If you've enjoyed this episode or got some value from it, please give it a 5-star rating and review. And maybe you know someone that would also benefit from this particular episode, in which case share the episode with them so they can also get the benefit too. And if you would like to listen to this episode where it's just the hypnosis, so no intro, no outro, no explanation, just the hypnosis and completely ad-free, there will be a link in the description where you can subscribe at a very low cost and only get access to the hypnosis. So if that's of interest, please check that out. Thank you again for being a regular listener of The Hypnotist, and I'll see you again soon for more.